Welcome to the Top 200 Podcast with your host, Herschel Fawn.
Welcome everybody, this is Herschel Fawn from High School Top 200 and this is the Monday morning meeting. Welcome back to everybody again. Thanks for joining in, tuning in, listening to what I have to say. Bit of commentary on First 15 Rugby in New Zealand. If you're new to this is what I do. I follow First 15 Rugby in New Zealand. And I do rankings of players and schools and stuff like that. So check it out on hstop200.com if you haven't had a look. And see what I get up to on there and things that I write, all the articles and things that I write for just to cover First 15 Rugby. This week was kind of strange, just to jump into it. A lot of games, a lot of midweek games, which is pretty cool because everyone wants to get ready for the holidays, and there's players getting ready for reps, things like that, which I haven't seen any kind of team yet, or teams or names. I know that some guys, some regions are doing trainings like test runs, fitness runs and fitness trainings, things like that. But I mean, in all honesty, I don't really know why they run those kind of things. I don't know why you would run testing for players that you're not sure of, or players that you're interested in bringing into camp. I don't know why a fitness test would need to be done for that kind of stuff if you've watched their games already and you've seen how they play on the field. And if you've seen that they're match fit and you've seen how good they are on the field and if they can last that 70 minutes, I don't actually know why you would run tests like this. So it's a bit confusing. I mean, if you do your job and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you should already have a number of like 50 within your region that you should be thinking about bringing into camp, because everybody's got like I think everyone's bringing in two teams. Blues, Hurricanes and Chiefs usually do two teams, so do the Crusaders. So I guess like for all those guys who are in the player development or recruitment area, they should already have their list of names of guys that they want in there. But yeah, I'm not too sure why they run tests like that. I kind of feel like they should just bring them into camp and then do the testing after that. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. They got their own ideas about how they do stuff. It kind of annoys me because, I mean, I watch them every week and I can kind of see when someone's unfit and can't last that whole game, or where their pointers of stopping. And I mean, ideally when it comes to fitness, you'd want them to last the whole game, but it's not really, it's not really a requirement to last the whole game, because then a lot of people wouldn't be able to play and you wouldn't have subs, I guess, or I should just sub for injuries, something like that. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that can't play, but I mean, there's some guys that are just good for 40 minutes that you just want them to do 45, 50 minutes at a time and just empty the tank on that and then bring someone fresh in, like whatever different coaches' strategies are and things like that. But I mean, yeah, I'm not too sure how the testing is going for these rep guys, but I mean, that's what they want in there. And so I know that's kind of happening. This week's games as sort of as a whole was pretty bad, and performance-wise for almost every team was pretty bad. Only because everyone pretty much had the same problem, and that was like fields. Fields was sort of the problem for everybody. Not so much handling, not so much ball handling, but just yeah, it was just the field itself was kind of a strange thing. Just the fields, being able to have a good track to run on. I mean, I guess that's just down to budget and groundskeeping, because not everyone has the same budget for that kind of stuff. Not everyone takes their field so seriously sometimes, but there were a lot of bad games, especially down in Christchurch, where A lot of games got cancelled. I saw the notifications and you know, all the ads going up for all age groups getting cancelled except for like First 15. First 15 was the only level that was really playing down in Christchurch. Even those ones down south were pretty bad. The blood match was pretty bad down in Oamaru as well when St. Kevin's and Waitaki played. That game was pretty bad, pretty terrible in terms of like just the rain, but the boys did pretty great for what was, you know, their conditions. And so like when I think about it too, you know, I think about like the talent level and sort of the structures and systems and shapes that, you know, people try and play in. Our boys do pretty good for how bad it is. And even though there were some performances that were just kind of hard to watch in a way, because even though the sun was shining, you just looked at that field and you just thought, man, everyone's running on heavy ground. You know, no one was getting any kind of clean breakaways or anything like that, because everyone was just stomping in the, you know, flipping puddles and stuff like that. So it was pretty bad. But in terms of like game quality, that kind of stuff aside, there were some really good games. Like John McGlashan, you know, they did a number on Timaru boys, and it didn't look competitive, to be honest. And I don't want to, like, you know, have a go at Timaru boys, but John McGlashan was just so dominant everywhere, you know. And whatever your argument wants to be on that, like, you know, I guess like the first one would be competition, would be the first argument. Like if I was a Timaru boys fan and when, you know, wanted to make excuses, that would be my first one. It's like, well, you guys don't really play anybody, you know. It's just like, you guys got 3 competitive teams in your competition kind of thing, and go, well, that's, you know, you guys have heaps of breaks, all that kind of stuff that goes on. And I guess if you wanted to make those kind of arguments, you could, but just the way that John McGlashan played, it was just one of those things, man. They were just so good at everything that they did, and that forward pack was just really, really dominant in getting clean ball and making sure that they stayed to the game plan, which was pretty cool to see their discipline in that. You know, being able to even support each other was the other thing that I really enjoyed about that game, and how they just stayed together as a group. The composure was pretty good, and then just making sure that when they started to sort of lose shape in their attack, there was always someone just calling each other back and going, you know, no, you're here, you know, let's move up a little bit, let's not be so crowding of the line, and let's give ourselves a little bit of space, you know, things like that. They were calling each other out on, which was so cool to see. One thing that I don't know, that kind of bothers me a little bit is when teammates can't handle being told that they're wrong, and they know that they're wrong, and then they're just not humble enough to take that advice from their own teammate. It's almost like they can't, I guess, single out just that one problem that they're doing wrong. They go, bro, you're too up on the line, you're getting out too fast, and then they go, well, I'm not the reason why we're losing. It's like, well, that's not what he said. You know, and I hear a lot of guys, they argue on the field because someone's caught him out on their ish, and then all of a sudden that guy's having like a bit of a meltdown going, well, I'm not the reason why we're losing, you know, like things like that, which is pretty funny to see. And I guess that's just part of being a teammate and being part of a team where you can, or you should be able to take that criticism and go, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I got to step back, you know, things like that. But John McGlashan was really good like that, you know, 45-0, that was a massive win. Mahurangi Bay had a good win against Hauraki Plains, who hadn't lost a game all season. You know, they were doing really good in the counties competition, and they played Mahurangi Bay, which is up North Harbour area. They play in that second division there. So that clash of those two teams, who I both think should be in that Rugby by the beach down in the Mount, I think it's in September, I think it is. I think those two teams should probably go to that. I know Hauraki Plains is one of those teams that's going to it, but Mahurangi should probably be another team that should think about going to that. And I'm going to bring out my own. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, and it's been so busy trying to get everything back into the way of the swing of things. But I've got my list of teams that I think should go to that competition, or that I'd like to see in that kind of competition. And these are guys that are not part of the national top 4, but this is like probably a subset kind of competition that I would like to see myself. And those two teams will probably be one of those in those competitions that I would personally like to see. Wednesday they had Christchurch boys play Otago boys. That ended in 32-26. Another muddy day, another wet day, another rainy day, another heaps of mistakes, all that kind of stuff, slippery ball. And even though tries came out of it, like a lot of the sloppy tries, there wasn't like really any kind of like wonder and magic, like any of that kind of stuff. But I mean, like in a good traditional game like that, like a win's a win, I guess. Like that's anything that matters. It doesn't say, Christchurch boys won 2022 in wet, muddy, terrible day or anything like that. It just says that you won. So I mean, I guess that also gives a bit of context as well to how good John McGlashan is with a win over Otago boys, 2 times this year already, I think, and Christchurch boys being ranked 9th really has me thinking about moving John McGlashan up at least 5 or 6 more spots. I do have to take in consideration the competition power, I guess, and who they have to play and prove themselves against, because it's a lot of competition in that Miles Toyota Cup, that every single week is going to be a hard game kind of thing, and the travel is always going to be one of those kind of factors too. That 32-26 against Otago boys is a pretty big, I guess, label onto where those competitions are at and how good John McGlashan is in that competition. And I'm starting to think and believe at the same time that John McGlashan is the top side coming out of the South Island. And it's not anyone from Christchurch. It's not anyone from Tasman area. It's those guys from John McGlashan, I think, are the ones that are the leading team from the South Island. And even though they lost in pre-season to Tauranga boys, I tend to think and believe that if they were to play again, that wouldn't happen. I have this feeling that John McGlashan has actually gotten a lot better, and John McGlashan are at that point where I think that they can match up with a lot of good teams in the country, and not just them. Not just their team within their area. Wellington also had a couple of games. Bishop Viard and Aotea College, they had a game. Same thing, slippery, muddy, windy, all that kind of stuff that you get from Wellington. But I mean, 24-21 was that difference of that game. And there's Bishop Viard, I think, is one of those teams that is also that I would look at to take into a competition as well. Up, Rugby by the Beach and Beach or Bay. I can't remember what the competition's called, but I mean, I hope that they'll put their name into it as well to have a game up there. Hamilton boys game against Tauranga, maybe a bit more of a better game because Hamilton Boys Field is pretty perfect in the way that the conditions and how it's kept. But I mean, if you watch it on YouTube, go have a look at the game on YouTube. It was hard. It was hard that Tauranga Boys lost Ruben Palmer, Case Meyer, those two going down. Matt Stewart didn't even play, which was like another big one for them. You saw Piripi Tapsel having to come into the midfield, you know, things like that, and it's just one of those kind of things that it just wasn't going Tauranga's way at all, and it just seemed like it got worse as the game got on. And in all honesty, like Hamilton Boys probably had another 2 tries in them. You know, if there's these little things that, you know, calls gone their way, you know, that kind of stuff. But Hamilton Boys look really good right now, and I'm not even too sure if they can be beat, if Hastings can beat them, because Hastings, they've got 2 more games left with Gisborne next week at home, or next week or the week after, but Gisborne's their next game, and then Hastings Boys is their last game of the Super 8. But you know, it's just one of those things. When it comes down to it, it's just like, man, who can take out Hamilton Boys, especially this part of the season where they're about 8 games in, and then 8 or 9 games in, and they're sort of running on how they want, and they've got pretty much no injuries, which is a pretty good thing for Hamilton Boys. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Just like who's going to pretty much take them out, and if they would lose in the finals. And it looks like I guess Napier Boys. It could be Napier Boys, Hastings, or Rotorua Boys as the 3 that are sort of looking pretty strong right now for that final. Rosa beat Takapuna also on that Thursday, I think it was. I also went to Fraser and Rototuna High School. Rototuna is another school that I would definitely want to go to another tournament, where I think that they could go to another competition and get challenged by these other teams around these country schools, these smaller schools. Them beating Fraser 52-14 obviously says that they've got a lot of scoring power and all that kind of stuff within their own competition, but they need other good schools. So Hauraki Plains kind of would be one of them. You know, Mahurangi College was the other one. Ultimotai College, who I really like for the Bay of Plenty, and also the Mount Maunganui College, who is another team as well that I really like, with Hawera, Bishop Viard. I think another one that should probably go will be Taupo. I would like Dunstan to come. I would like Wakatupu to also go. I would like someone like Samhain. And sort of the heavier teams, I would like Samhain. I would like St. John's, Hastings, as well as Rathkill. I would like Hibs as one of those teams too. And these are all you know, smaller school programs. There's some, even though they're playing in some of the top you know, divisions, it's like having teams that were sort of equally on their level, and having them all in a competition together, I think would be a massive, you know, massive thing. I mean, like I think Tamaki College as well, who just lost, was the game that I went to, and they just lost their first game of the season against Southern Cross. That would be another team that I wish would go to competition like that. Botany Downs would be another one. St. Paul's would be another one from Auckland. You know, I wish all those teams would be like get involved as well, and be a part of a competition and a tournament that is like more suited for that level of game. You know, and so yeah, there's a lot of those teams around the country. Te Awamutu had a good win against Cambridge High School. I guess the upsets that you want to see, but it's not really upsets. You know, Napier Boys beating Rotorua Boys. It's not really an upset when they're that sort of close in ranking and skills and tradition and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's a little upset, but not that big of an upset where it's like these big massive celebration kind of things. It's like because you're in that range. I mean, Napier Boys in their forward pack, that scrum was a big deal, forward pack was a big deal. Rotorua just came on late, not playing at pace like I thought that they kind of would. I don't know if they were experimenting with Maloney and Te Hamana swapping from fullback to centre and seeing how that goes. Maybe getting different looks, but even though they both played great, I think it was just better the other way around. Just my personal opinion, it's better having Maloney at the back and Te Hamana at centre. I think the more impressive one is that St. John's College, St. John's Hamilton, them going down to fielding and winning 38-12. And again in a wet muddy day, again in mistakes and rainy and all that kind of stuff. But 38 points is impressive. And again, in terms of, I don't know, William Fonahima was on the bench. I don't know why that was. Or Michael, I don't know why Michael was on the bench. Even though Josiah's been playing really good in the front row. For me, 100% William, I thought should have been on there. And he scored a try pretty much straight after half-time, coming on in the second half. And I still think he's New Zealand secondary school material right now. And whatever their strategy or thinking or anything like that, maybe they were trying it for now to see what happened in the finals. But fielding, you've got to be careful too, because they're sitting in second spot and St. Paul's is sitting in third spot, and they both drew when they played the last time. That's going to be one of those things that they are going to have to take both of those two games serious, because that St. Paul's team has been, even though they had a bit of a trip up against Wesley, which ultimately put Wesley in a running for that position of finishing in their top four. It's fielding, just have to be a bit careful. That's what I think. And trialing that against a team like St. John's Hamilton, and the thing is with St. John's, right, is that being from Hamilton, being from the Chiefs region, the Chief selectors aren't going to take them seriously. And I don't know how, it's just one of those things where Chiefs region has had it so easy that they've really just picked from 5 real schools. They've just taken all the boys' schools, which are the four boys' schools that are in the Super 8, New Plymouth, Tauranga, Rototuna and Hamilton, and then they've kind of looked at St. Paul's a little bit, Wesley a little bit, and then taking a little bit from here. But St. John's has never been a school that they've really looked at, and they missed the fact that they did that last year too, which they should have picked a bunch of those year 12 boys that are now year 13 and actually put them in those systems and those games. And if they miss out on those players, if they miss out on those players this year, other regions should just come here and take those players. 100%. And if you're a region that's not really paying attention to St. John's, you've got to pay attention to St. John's. Go onto Sideline Live, go watch all their games that are on there, watch all their players, because if the Chiefs don't pick them up, or Waikato don't pick them up, there's 7 guys on that team right now that you could bring to your region, and they're going to start for you guys pretty much straight away. And so depending on whether the Chiefs are keeping an eye on St. John's, and I don't think that they are, my personal opinion is that I don't think that they are, because they've just never done that before, and they still see St. John's as a rugby school. But hopefully after this weekend, beating someone who's a powerhouse and traditional powerhouse now, like what fielding is, that they start doing that. But again, if they're not paying attention to St. John's, then what are they doing? To be honest, what are they doing in terms of trying to develop the area and the players within the areas? If St. John's guys are not included into that, but them having that big score really showed that they belong in that top position. Like I have been saying, though, they are a top 5 team. They can be a number 1 team in the country, and they can beat Hamilton boys. They just have to believe that, which is something that they're going to struggle with. Because Hamilton, you guys think Hamilton boys is daunting nationally? It's try living here, and they are there every single week playing a team from your school, and they have all these rugby teams and rugby players, and you pretty much lose to them every single week that you have to play them. And sometimes that's not even their top team. Sometimes it's their B team or their C team, or like, you know, but it's just not a cool thing when you got so many boys, Hamilton boys schools, and then all of them seem to be really good. You know, it's just one of those kind of things. And so hopefully St. John's believe in themselves and believe that they have the talent, and like I do, I think that they do have the talent. I'm not saying Hamilton boys is terrible or anything like that. I just think that they have a team that can beat Hamilton boys. St. Peter's had a win, which I know that they try to hype it up, but I know that St. Peter's fans weren't worried. They weren't worried at all. I know that they try and go, oh, it's the bridge match, oh, it's going to be big. It's like, I was sitting here thinking, no, it's not. I was like, you guys got this easy. And it was. And the reports that I got back too was that they didn't even really play their best. 31-7, and St. Peter's didn't really play their best. You know, just one of those kind of things. Hastings having a win, you know, 14-3, and that wasn't really an impressive game by both teams. You know, both teams couldn't play with that kind of field. It was just too heavy. Like, no one looked fast. You know, who was it? Bryce got a double for Hastings. But yeah, Kelston losing to St. Kennigan's was a big one. Watching the game wasn't impressive. Like, it wasn't impressive because I was like, what is this Kelston team doing? And on the other side, I was like, where has this St. Kennigan's team been? You know, it was like those two kind of thoughts, and like, it was like two total opposites, really. So yeah, it's really made it interesting in the Auckland and the 1A as well. So coming down to the last games, coming down to the you know, to the last rankings and all that kind of stuff, it just, you know, it really is who's going to hold out to the end. And if it means Kelston's on the way down while St. Kennigan's on the way up, you know, really they just got to really knuckle down on these last games and then see what's up with their team and how they all feel. I mean, yeah, it's going to be hard all over the country. Christchurch boys having a win against Selwyn. St. Thomas really snuck away with that one against Timaru boys, and you know, Timaru were just like right there. Same thing with St. Bede's and Shirley. A few calls gone their way. I don't think enough to change it, but it was just, you know, just one of those kind of things. Nelson having an easy day against Rangiora. Silverstream and Scots was an interesting game. Westlake boys winning 15-7 over Orewa, which was a surprise. King's College was left it late against Aotearoa College. Sacred Heart and Mags was... those first two tries, I don't know, but it was Sacred Heart. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's just not on, I guess, not turned on. I mean, like, it wasn't even like a good, you know, it was just one winger going, well, if you guys are going to stand around, I'm going to run and tap this ball, and then Cohen's going to be on the outside. You know, and then Cohen got another double after that, where it wasn't even... It's just mean overlaps, you know, just lack of communication by Mags, and just that whole game was just kind of bad. St. Paul's getting a win. De La Salle obviously getting a win against Liston. De La Salle actually had the right game before their ball that night. I mean, they had a 1 o'clock game, and then they had their ball that night for De La Salle. Had it on the right week against Liston College, I guess. Marlborough beating Christ College was a big hit to Christ College, making it through to make, you know, to sort of make a run for that top 4, because I think it's out of, you know, it's out for them. Mahurangi Bay, like I said, got another good win. Whangarei boys lost to Manurewa. Manurewa travelling all the way up north. Will probably creep back into that top 25, with Christ probably going to fall down the rankings. Dilworth having a really good win against Tangaroa College. Played it smart, I guess, using the wind a lot. Maybe could have got a lot more air to the ball and giving, I guess, spreading that ball out to, I guess, create gaps in that defensive line. Making sure that everyone plays on the outside shoulder, you know, things like that you'll do on muddy days. And it's just like, well, the speed of the ball can beat the man. Let's just play with a lot of spacing. Let's play a lot of outside, and then if they don't want to drift across, we'll just play on the corners and play on the edge, and, you know, use the wind at the same time. That 1B championships, St. Paul's beating Botany, Tamaki losing to Southern Cross, Otahu College beating Ongehanga, and then Howick losing to McLean's. All of those games, surprising. Tamaki College was the biggest surprise. I didn't think that they were going to lose. Southern Cross campus is a league team. Tamaki College played them like they were a league team. I didn't understand the tactics that Tamaki College was kind of trying to play. I would have played them like a rugby team. I would have made rugby plays. I would have beat them at the breakdown. I would have beat them in the scrums. I would have beat them in the lineouts. I would have, you know, trucked the ball up. You know, played a lot of, I guess, driving from the base of rucks. Things like that those league players are not used to doing. Instead, Tamaki College decided to run the ball, try and, you know, beat their players out, and then guys like Selu was just killing them. And he's the one that plays for the Warriors under 18s or under 20s or emerging development, whatever they're called. Plays along Xavier, Tito Harris, you know, guys like that, and he was just, you know, him and that second five, the captain of Southern Cross and the number 6, just killing them, just so good.
One more.
But yeah, that's one of those as well. Pookie had a good win against Hamilton Boyd Red Team Division. Mata had a big win against St. John's second 15. Tikawiti won by 73 points, which is massive, over St. Paul's third 15. Tikawiti is like another team that I would put into that competition. Some other ones from La Bay played Western Heights, had a good win against Taupo. John Paul drew against Trident, which is kind of, I don't know, I thought John Paul would take that game. In the Wellington competition, Hibs won when Hibs is making a really big run for top 4. I don't know if they can get there, but they're just keeping it late, you know, just having this little late surge. Town beat Rongotai. Wellington College beat Mana in a 19-8. Bit of a, you know, swirling wind day as well as a mud bath kind of thing, so, you know, not really going to get much out of that. And then Kings had a big win against Dunstan as well. But coming down to the last weeks, the last games of the competition after the break. So in the 1A, and this is just to keep everyone up to date, the 1A has St. Peter's, Sacred Heart, Kelston Boys, and St. Kennigan's. Those are the 1, 2, 3, and 4s. As of right now, De La Salle is 5, and then Mags is 6. St. Peter's, they play Sacred Heart, Mags, and then Tangaroa College. Sacred Heart play St. Peter's, St. Ken's, and King's College. So that Sacred Heart number 2 in Auckland might not even make the top 4 if they lose. If they lose all 3 of those games, which they could, St. Peter's, St. Kitts, and King's College, Sacred Heart might not even finish the top 4. Mags have got, Kelston Boys, who's 3rd, have got Mags, Auckland Grammar, and Aorere College. So Mags is the only one that's really going to challenge them. Auckland Grammar is not going to challenge them. I mean, if all Auckland Grammar guys are listening now, I was like, I mean, take what I'm saying as like hate if you want to fuel yourself, but it just hasn't, you guys haven't shown that you guys are a team to beat the bigger teams. And so for Kelston Boys is that they just have to get past Mags. Mags hasn't been going so well, but I mean, if Kelston Boys get that, they should be finishing 2nd. St. Kitts have Auckland Grammar, Sacred Heart, and Liston College. Again, I don't know if Auckland Grammar can beat St. Kitts. Sacred Heart is going to be that hard one for St. Kitts, and then Liston College is going to be some more points, you know, for St. Kitts. Because I think St. Kitts could probably is definitely going to get the 2 wins, but can they get the 3rd one out of Sacred Heart? De La Salle have got Aorere College, Dilworth School, and Auckland Grammar. Now, De La Salle should win all 3 of those games. They should win all 3 of those games. Dilworth School is going to be a close one, but I think that they can win that game. And Auckland Grammar, they should win that game. Mags have got Kelston Boys, St. Peter's, then they got Dilworth School. They should beat Dilworth School, but again, that's not such an easy matchup anymore. Kelston Boys, and I don't think that they can beat St. Peter's, but Kelston Boys is going to be sort of the one that they need to sort of fight that one out. But even if they might not even make the top 4, even if they win 2 of those 3, Sacred Heart is the team right now that really has to sort of knuckle down and go, we need to win at least 2 of these 3. If they can get 2 of the 3, they'll stay. If they can't, they're gonna fall out. Especially if those other teams win. Especially if De La Salle wins all 3. And if they win by, you know, good margin points as well, getting bonus points, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's not going to be so easy for everybody else. But Sacred Heart's really got to do something about this, and it's going to be sort of a scary situation for those boys. And honestly, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if they're going to do it or if they can do it, but it's going to be one of those learning experiences for the coaching staff as well as the players, who, and Sacred Heart's got predominantly a pretty young team. And, you know, I think that with a team like Sacred Heart, you know, they're going to need all their players in there, you know. Tamiano Alu, who didn't play on Saturday, I don't know how hurt he is, but he needs to be back in that and for those last 3 games. Again, I don't know how hurt he is. Might be pretty serious, and I'm just like ignorant to what the information is. But he needs to be there for them to win. They need as much of their guys. Like, they're going to be great next year, but we're just talking about this year, and they need to be there for that. You know, they need to be. That forward pack needs him to be there in that front row, and and you know, with Halu Tonga, you know, they need that inspiration from him and his size and his power and all that kind of stuff, or else they're not going to win. But that's going to be a hard one. That's going to be a hard one, and the teams you should focus on really is Sacred Heart and see what happens with them, because that's going to be a painful end if they lose all 3 of those games. In the Super 8, Hamilton boys have got Gisborne and Hastings. Like I said before, Hamilton boys are going to have to win both of those 2 games. Napier boys, who's second, have got New Plymouth boys. That's their last game. Hastings have Tauranga boys and Hamilton boys, and Tauranga boys right now look like they can beat Hastings boys, and Hastings got to pick up their game a bit, because I know there's something about something just doesn't feel right about their team right now and how they're playing. Rototuna boys have got Palmy and the New Plymouth boys as well, and they're sitting 4th, and they need to make it into that top 2, because remember, they only have a finals in that. They don't have like a semi-final or anything like that. And so Napier boys wins, they're just going to have to hold out and make sure the other guys lose, and but if Hastings win both of their games and Rototuna boys win both of their games, and it comes down to, I guess, points and how much bonus points and all that kind of stuff as well that goes along with that. In the CNI competition, I talked about St. John's Hamilton. St. John's Hamilton is at the top of the competition right now. It's sitting at number 1. And they are 2 games behind everybody else. 2 games behind everybody else. And they're still leading the competition with 35 points. Fielding have got 1 more game left against Whanganui Collegiate, and they've got 33 points or 2 points. But St. John's to be 35 points of first place with 2 more games left. Haven't lost a game, scored massive points all over the field. They play Francis Douglas, who's not going to be hard because Francis Douglas. It's not going to be easy because Francis Douglas has been playing really good so far, and St. Paul's, who's their last game as well. St. Paul's have got their one last game against St. John's, and they need that win to sort of feel comfortable. Just feel comfortable, because Wesley and Whanganui are both on 21 points, and Whanganui have got 1 game, and that's against Francis Douglas. That's against Fielding High School. And if they don't win that 1 game, obviously they stay on 21 points. Wesley have got Rathkill and Francis Douglas Memorial. So Wesley's probably hoping that St. John's beat up on Francis Douglas so that they can beat Rathkill and then have a, I guess, hammered Francis Douglas team so that they can make it into that top 4. And St. Peter's is who's sitting on 19. They have St. John's Hastings, but they're not going to have enough points to make it through, because it's just, I don't know if Wesley's going to lose to Rathkill. I don't see that happening at all. But I mean, if that trip's too long for Wesley and they, I don't know, somehow lose focus, that probably could happen. Who knows? But Francis Douglas could actually wreck it for a couple of these teams, and I think the hope for Wesley is that Wesley bashes them up. St. John's bashes up Francis Douglas. Wesley get a beaten up Francis Douglas team, and then hopefully get a double win to end their season, and then they go into the top 4, which they actually have to play St. John's, which they lost by 40 points, I think it was the last time, something like that. But if you make the top 4, you make the top 4, and that's a young Wesley team too, and they didn't start off that great in the beginning of the year as well. Heaps of sickness, heaps of pushback games. I felt like they have a lack of leadership. I feel like Joey at number 8 is trying to do it by himself, and even when you watch him play, he plays so hard. He's got a lot of passion, but it's just hard to do it by yourself. I don't care how good you are, it's going to be hard to do it by yourself. And if that is the problem, and there isn't a lot of trust in the team and leadership, I hope they figure it out and take this time that they have off, to figure that out and get together as a team and sort things out that way, and then go this is the attitude we should have, this is the way we should be playing, this is what the coaches have set for us. Let's start trusting in each other and then try and get these 2 wins so that we can at least make it to the semis of the CNI competition. In the Wellington competition, everyone's pretty much got 2 games left. Stream is winning that, so it's Stream, Wellington College, Town, and then Scots College. I think Stream is safe. They have Town, which is going to in their game back, which is going to be a massive game, and then they got Mana College. They're going to beat Mana College, but St. Pat's Town is going to be the hard game. Wellington College have Hibs, so I think Wellington will stay second. Town has Stream and Hibs, and Hibs probably won't win that one either, but they do have a bit of a shot with that game. Now it's Scots College and St. Bernard's are sitting 4th and 5th, and St. Bernard's have to win both of those games to get into that top 4. They play Whited Upper and then they play Scots College. Scots College only have 1 more game, and that's the one against St. Bernard's. And they can't skip it mentally. They go, okay, we're going to beat Whited Upper College because we're better than them, and then we'll just play Scots College. They have to concentrate on both of those games because there's a lot of games and a lot of teams that have just skipped a week, and then they've gone, oh, we'll worry about that next game because this one coming up is just like, we'll win that one easy. But I think that the St. Bernard's can do it. They've got a lot of same problems as St. John's in terms of believing what they are as a rugby school, but they have a big squad, they have a big team, they have really good star players, and I have a feeling that they can beat Scots College. And they need to win that Whited Upper one first, and then they need to win against Scots College. Scots College really are just gearing up for that one game. Obviously their backline, I think the problem with Scots College is that they're just too young right now without too many old players in their team, and Yeti Campbell just seems like he's doing it by himself as well. I guess him and Tana, between the 2 of them, are really trying to guide all the other young guys around, and I just don't think it's working. It's actually Yeti, Tana, and Manu, the hooker, and it's one of those things that I think that I don't know if they're struggling to do it, but it just doesn't look like it's working, and then things are sort of falling apart a little bit, and they're struggling in games and in areas of the game where they don't usually struggle, and so I would be interesting to see what they come back with, what they come back and they look like when they play St. Bernard's. And I know with the way that they run their team there that they're going to be ready, and St. Bernard's is the one that actually has the pressure on them to pull through and then actually get that one. Scots College have more confidence than most, so it's not about, I don't think it's about Scots College, I think it's about St. Bernard's, and they're the ones that but I have to step up. Down in the Mars Toyota Cup, or Mars Toyota Championship, they've got Nelson first, St. Thomas, Christchurch Boys, and St. Bede's. And those are the top 4 right now, with Shirley and Timaru sort of off next. Nelson College have to play St. Thomas, St. Bede's, and Roncalli, which is hard. They at least have to get here. Nelson just have to win 2 of those. St. Thomas also have to win 2, but they've got Nelson, Roncalli, and Shirley. Shirley's trying to make their way at 5th place into their top 4. Christchurch Boys have St. Bede's, Rangiora High School, and who's the other one? Waimea combined. And then St. Bede's is the one that's got the hardest route, with they've got Christchurch Boys, Nelson College, and then Rangiora High School. Now Shirley, who's sitting in the 5th, they've got Waimea combined, and they've got St. Thomas. Timaru Boys, who's sitting 6th, have Selwyn and Christ College. And I don't know if St. Bede's can really hold on to that. I feel like Timaru Boys can win the Selwyn and the Christ College, and they're gonna, and I think that they can win with bonus points too, which is gonna make it hard. Shirley as well, I think Shirley can beat Waimea College. St. Thomas is gonna be the hard one though. But asking St. Bede's to play Christchurch Boys, Nelson College, one after the other, is going to be a pretty hard one. I mean, Nelson College is the same, where they have to play, St. Thomas and St. Bede's. But Christchurch Boys, Christchurch Boys just have St. Bede's to worry about, and then they can rest on their Waimea combined as well as on Rangiora High School, and they can take those 2 easy 16 points or 18 points or whatever it is, and go 15 points, sorry, 8 points or 10 points, and then sort of just worry about what happens else after. Like, I think Christchurch Boys is the most comfortable out of those 4 teams in that top 4, and they could end up first, because there's no guarantee that Nelson College can beat St. Thomas and St. Bede's, and they could probably end up 3rd. So there's a lot of variations and combinations in terms of where everyone's going to fall and land, and it's going to be just interesting to kind of see where everyone hits come everyone returning back to school. That's a quick rundown on everybody, all the competitions that are going on, and in the North Harbour competition, Westlake is first, so it's Westlake, Rewa, Massey, and Whangarei, and then Ros is coming 5th. And Westlake is far ahead, so I don't think Westlake needs to worry. And Rewa have got Rangiora and Orewa, and they should win both of those games. Massey have got Orewa and Westlake, and then Whangarei have Rosa and Takapuna Grammar School, and then Rosa has Whangarei and Rangitoto. And all of those teams just need to win one, and they're fine where they are. But if Massey lose to Orewa and lose to Westlake, if they lose the Orewa game and then they lose Westlake, they might fall out. And then Whangarei, if they win both of those games, Massey would have to, rely on Whangarei to beat Rosmini, and to beat Rosmini, so Rosmini don't get the jump up. And Rosmini just need to worry about Whangarei for their first matchup, and then go, let's smoke out Rangitoto and then try and make it up into their top 4. And Westlake's safe, Rewa is safe, Massey and Whangarei are going to have to really fight for their position to stay. And I mean, like, I don't really know how confident those teams are looking, because there have been some sort of surprise, some real surprise scores in that competition. And even though when you think like a team like Marurewa, who has lost some games that have been pretty surprising, that you didn't really think that was going to be it, you know, like they would lose. Roz has put up a good fight against other teams too, but Westlake and Manurewa are the only ones that are really safe. And and Massey will be really safe, actually. No, Massey's fine. It's really just Whangarei. Whangarei have to win the last 2 games, and then Rosa have to win the last 2 games, and they pretty much just have to beat each other when they get back. And if that was the game, it's probably going to be the game that everyone should be watching, is that Whangarei Rosa game when everyone comes back. I don't know what the date is of that game either, but that's probably the one that everyone should watch out for. It's the 30th. It's on the 30th at Rosmini. Maybe I'll come to that game. Yeah, maybe I'll have a look and come to that game, because that's a heavy game right there. That's a heavy game. But yeah, that's my time anyway. Good luck to everybody. Have good holidays. Heal up. Get all these little injuries out of the way. Get your minds right as well. You know, take a little break from rugby for a little bit. Get your guys' minds, comfortable to where you guys want to be at. You guys still got school, still got, projects and things like that you have to concentrate on too. But take this break to actually have a break. Give yourselves time to think about other things, do other things, occupy your time with stuff, heal up. And then when you get back to the grind, get back onto the grind. Search for high school top 200. Later, ball.